I think this is probably going to be one of my most wildest rebuilds and retools for an NBA team in NBA 2K. I'm going here with the one and only Mr. Dame Dollar, uh, cover athlete. Congrats to them for NBA 2K21. We're going to be rebuilding the Portland Trailblazers. I do have a vision for this team. Listen, Damian Lillard, he's been in the league, like 8 or 9 seasons? Let's see how long he's been here real quickly. Hold up. So Damian Lillard, he's been in the league since I think it was 2012 or 2013, something around there. I can't even find it. I don't know what I'm doing. Actually, it shows right here. So 8 years pro. Wow, that's crazy. And he decided to stay with the Portland Trailblazers. He wants to go in the long haul. He has 6 years, $257 million. We're going to ride with him till he's 35 years of age. I think personally, their peak for the Blazers was in 2019, last season, when they made the conference finals, realistically. But now, if I were to put my GM hat as of right now, I know what I have to do to actually make this a championship contending team to get back to the conference finals, let alone win a championship for this team. I really thought long and hard about this. Well, not long, but I really thought about this because, listen, your two best players cannot be a point guard and shooting guard together. That play fairly similar, let alone CJ McCollum is a bubble all-star, but he's never made an appearance. But because the Western Conference is always loaded, if this was the East, different situation. But listen, I'm really looking. I've had scenarios in my head to keep CJ McCollum. I think if I'm here to win a championship, CJ McCollum is best if he's a six-man for a team, kind of playing like a Lou Williams, but more glorified when it comes to it. He is 25 years of age or 28 years of age, but I can't have him with him, Damian Lillard, anymore. I thought about this. I'm going to have to let go of CJ McCollum. He can be able to be a starter, have his own team as a number one option, maybe put him to like the Detroit Pistons or something. Who knows? Within that, I'm looking at Damian Lillard. He's a great point guard. He's always been a top 3 point guard or top 4 for the past couple of seasons or so. He had an electric last season, let alone in the playoffs. I'm actually, as a GM, we'll talk with the coaches and Dame. I think it's best in this scenario to where I'll slide him to the shooting guard position if I'm letting go of CJ McCollum. And I'll give my reason why whenever I'm going to propose a trade, which I'm looking at. I'm not going to bring back Carmelo Anthony. In real life, it was for a veteran minimum. I'm cool with it, but 2K, that doesn't work that way. Nurkic, I'm going to have to let go. Injury prone. He's more of a coming off the bench type. Hassan Whiteside, very overrated. I don't know why he's an 88 in 2K. I'm going to have to let go of a bunch of these young guys on the bench. I know what's in my head of what I want to do for this team, and I'll get to it here in a second, but let's just simulate the rest of the season. Listen, right now, the Blazers, they're not going to make the playoffs. Damian Lillard is already mentally checked out in real life, let alone they're not going to be going off in the bubble. You've had Trevor Ariza already set out the rest of the seasons now. You'll probably see some other players do so. Who knows if that's the case. I think in those next 8 games, the Blazers will probably win at least 2 or 2 to 3 in that mix. And either the Pelicans or the Grizzlies will hold the 8th slot. So this gives opportunity for the Blazers and Damian Lillard to really evaluate. He's my number one guy. He's 30 years of age, and he really needs to retool this team. He's here for the long haul, 6 years. And I really want to make his morale, boost him, make him happy. The Blazers, we can always be an electric team in the Western Conference. You have to keep my eye on the Clippers, the Lakers, the new, healthy, rejuvenated Golden State Warriors. And I can really care less about the Thunder or the Jazz. But the Rockets, you always got to give them respect. They'll be in the mix. They have a superstar and a star player in James Harden and Russell Westbrook. So I know the Blazers were fine as it is. Now, the players I'll pretty much mention now that I am targeting, and this is going to be a weird experiment, but I want to go with it because I was thinking long and hard if I kept CJ McCollum. So let's just say there's 2 different scenarios. I'm going to go with my second one, but I was thinking for the number 1, I would have Damian Lillard with CJ McCollum in my backcourt. Probably bring in like a Trevor Ariza or Jonathan Simmons, any type of 3 that can start with them. And I'm actually looking to make a trade to bring back LaMarcus Aldridge on this team. I think with LaMarcus Aldridge, it'll be perfect for him to come back home here to Portland and back with Dame Dollar, who didn't get that playing time and experience together with each other, nearly as much when it comes to it. But I think these two should he should come back to Portland. I know he's looking to come back to a contender. San Antonio's not working out for him. And at the 5, I really want to see if I can make a trade for Rudy Gobert, or let alone maybe I have to sign like a JaVale McGee. In that mix, I want a front court of LaMarcus Aldridge to move him at the power forward position. Bring in like a Rudy Gobert, JaVale McGee, something like that as a 5. If that were the case. So that was my first scenario. Now my second scenario, I'm actually looking to move away CJ McCollum, because I don't agree that you can have those two guys who play fairly similar, let alone not enough experience to where they can actually reach a finals. I think their peak was in 2019. That's enough talk within here. We've been talking for 5 minutes. Let's do some work. I'm going to keep within our staff signing our head coach of Terry Stotts. He has 1 year left in his contract. Pretty much we'll re-sign him. He's been a great coach for this team. I just think it's more of the personnel. Let's look at our draft picks. So we have the 12th and for the first round, and with CJ McCollum. So what I'm going to look here to do is, and here's the cat who I want to make a trade for. I want to trade away CJ McCollum. I actually want to bring in Chris Paul. Yeah, you guys are thinking, dude, Jay, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Damian Lillard is a point guard. I want to try this new experiment. It's kind of like with the Rockets, fairly similar. I think Chris Paul is a better fit for this team. He screams that he is a franchise player in the past, let alone could be a number 2 option to win a championship. Damian Lillard can be a number 1, but you would really have to make a strong makeup for the team, which I believe I can. And with players like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Anthony Davis and the crew, they already signed max contracts to other teams. They're not going to be traded, let alone leave in free agency. So I think our best chance for a desperate time for Damian Lillard, we're going to have to bring in Chris Paul. We'll let go CJ McCollum. He had a great run with us for 5 seasons or so. He can be a number 1 option for the Thunder. So what we're going to do is CJ McCollum for Chris Paul. Let's see if we can actually bring in the third team trade. Again, guys, I told you I wanted the Spurs with the cat. Pull him up real quickly here with LaMarcus Aldridge at $24 million. So let's see what we can trade for this side. I know with the Spurs, they want to go young in a direction. I can slide them Yusuf Nurkic. I know LaMarcus Aldridge, he wants to leave. They're cool with him leaving, which is fine as it is. We'll send this off to, we can send CJ McCollum, Nurkic. I know with the Thunder, or actually in the Spurs, let's see what we can find to slide this off here. I want to give away Zach Collins as well as in the mix. So let me kind of make this realistic. Here, just bear with me, guys. See if there's a couple more young cats I can kind of throw in. So Nasir Little, I think this will be a good young pick as well. Who else we got here? I'm probably going to have to throw some more young guys that direction. Okay, so the Spurs, they're letting go LaMarcus Aldridge. They understand DeMar DeRozan's leaving free agency. They're cool with it. Popovich is probably going to retire. Let go LaMarcus Aldridge. They'll get in return young cats Zach Collins, Nasir Little. I'm going to throw them around this first pick, this first round number 12 pick. I think the Spurs, this would be huge for them to pick up some young cats. They do have this 13 pick as well. And to get LaMarcus Aldridge away, who's pretty much going to leave in free agency, and you're getting some young cats, you're clearing cap space, let alone bringing a big pick here. That's huge. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make this trade offer. So CJ McCollum and Nurkic to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They would appreciate this, to let go of Chris Paul and then this team. They can run around a CJ McCollum, and we can get this done with. So all the teams agreed. We got the trade offer down in place. I'm excited, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to move Damian Lillard to the 2, and we would actually have to really have some talks with him. I think in his career, usually when a star is around 30 years of age, they start to get humbled, and they'll make some moves, best for their team and franchise. So I'm liking what we have right now. We have Damian Lillard at the 2. We have Chris Paul at the 1. With Chris Paul and Damian Lillard, it's not the same as CJ McCollum and Dame. Chris Paul's fine playing off the ball with James Harden. But Damian Lillard can play more in a team-centric style. He is very efficient, unlike Harden, who's a ball hogger. So I think Chris Paul can be able to handle Damian Lillard, vice versa, when it comes to here. Right now, Hassan Whiteside, we could probably sign him for bird rights, where we can make him a starting 5. I can probably sign him and try to trade him to the Utah Jazz. I doubt the Jazz will actually make that happen, but we can kind of play around with it. LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm putting him at the 4. So right now our team's looking very nice. We have a core 3 as it is. And this is, if you're Damian Lillard, you're feeling really good about your chances of having a postseason run when it comes to here. So let's look at our cap space as of right now. Probably not the best. Hold on, let's let go of some of these players real quickly. So when we're pretending on Whiteside, he has their $32 million. So if we actually let him go, we would have around roughly $8 million of cap space. That's not good enough for us. So let's jump into free agency and actually go ahead and make a trade here. So I'll actually send this to the Spurs as well, because I can care less about this draft pick. Okay, perfect. So we're not going to sign any young guys. I want to keep veterans on this team. I probably want to keep Gary Trent Jr. He's a great sixth man for this role. I don't want to bring back any of these young cats as well. No, I don't want to bring these young cats. I want to bring in some 3-and-D players. I want to bring some veterans, especially going for a championship. So let's jump into free agency, guys. We want to go for our bird rights. We can be able to bring back Hassan Whiteside whenever it comes to here. So let's give him, I'll go with 3-year. Actually, let's see if there's any 2K madness. Usually there's a team that always offers when it comes to Hassan Whiteside. So he's got 12 offers. The Raptors for 3 years, $48 million. I'm probably gonna have to just pay him the bag. I mean, it is what it is. We'll sign him in the mix. I think Ronnie Hood, so we can get him as well. Let's get Ronnie Hood for one more season, and as well as Hassan Whiteside, these 2 young cats. So let's clear our cap space, as well as capture them on our team. I was thinking about getting Rudy Gobert. That would have been ideal. But with the Utah Jazz, they're going to run with Rudy Gobert. They're not going to trade him for Whiteside. So, let's just keep him on this team. So, guys, everything's looking crazy. We got Chris Paul with Damian Lillard. You got LaMarcus Aldridge at the 4, Hassan Whiteside at the 5. I'm probably going to have to make a trade for Ronnie Hood. Keep him off the bench. It is what it is. But what I'll do is let me jump into free agency here, make some signings, and we'll jump into next season. All right, guys, my team's pretty much all set. I wanted to make one last trade before I jumped in and showed you the official roster for our team. So I'm going to let go of Gary Trent Jr. I know he's a young stud, let alone Ronnie Hood. I want Jeremy Grant to be on this team, and I'll pretty much show you the reason why. The team's all set up. I want to move, actually, I needed a starting small forward, and Jeremy Grant could play the 3. I'm going to slide him back to a small forward position, and he can kind of play like the Alpha Camino back around 3 years ago and such. But this is great defensively. We need some length, especially because with Damian Lillard and Chris Paul, who are 6'3" and 6 feet, definitely need some more range there. But here's our starting 5 as of right now. Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Jeremy Grant, who could just be a 3-and-D player. Doesn't really need the ball in his hands. Same thing with Whiteside, good in the post. Then LaMarcus Aldridge, who perfect when you have a twin towers between these 2 guys. This right here screams a championship contending team as it is. This is going to be a great defensive team, let alone Damian Lillard. He's going to have the ball in his hands with Chris Paul. He can go ham offensively, but in the front court or in the half court set, Chris Paul can initiate the offense more. He can be able to get buckets, let alone with LaMarcus Aldridge. So very exciting within this team. I want to make one last trade when it comes to it because I did trade within here. So for our starting centers, we have Hassan Whiteside. I'm going to let go of Tony Bradley. We do have Kenneth Faried and Tyson Chandler. Great veteran picks and very underrated as well. I'm probably going to need another power forward with LaMarcus Aldridge. I do have Laba Mute, who's a great stretch four in this day and age. For our small forwards, Jeremy Grant. Coming off the bench, you'll have Wesley Matthews in the mix. And then you have Torrey Craig, who's a great spot-up shooter, and Kent Bazemore, who has experience as well. I brought Alan Crabb back to the team. He was electric back in 2015 in that area with the Portland Trailblazers in 2016. Jonathan Simmons, very underrated as well, a slasher, 3-and-D player. And when it comes to it, so I'm actually going to make a trade here for a point guard, then we can jump into the mix. But yeah, overall, guys, I'm expecting around 54 wins for this team when it comes down to it. And we'll jump into the playoffs, see what happens. But overall, in real life, I kind of expect this to be realistic as can be when it comes to this team. I may just take this Grizzlies trade, to be honest. But that's how it is when it comes to here. Let's see if we can find something real quickly. TJ McConnell. Okay, that would be a perfect backup point guard for this team. I'm going to slide that in real quick. Okay, so we are all set with our point guard positions. Devin Harris, he's been out of the league for, I think, 2 seasons, but If we can't really find a veteran, I mean, he's great for our team. I don't really need him to play much because we have Damian Lillard who can switch off. Everything's looking very nicely when it comes to this team. I think I have 15 players as it is. I think I want to run a 10-man rotation when it comes to here. Yeah, we have 15 players. The only thing I'm very kind of skeptical about is our another backup power forward because we have Laba Mute. But hey, let's jump into the playoffs and see what it can happen with this new team. All right, back again. 53-29. I expected us to be around 54 wins, so I mean, not a really big deal right here. So we're pretty much in the mix of where we need to be. I think we're probably going to be a top 3 team, knowing NBA 2K in the Western Conference when it comes to it. But let's see if there's actually any injuries for our team. So we're actually the 3rd seed going against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think that's we can easily win that right there. Looks like LaMarcus Aldridge is hurt. Let's kind of see what happens here. Out 6 to 8 weeks. Man, that's a bummer for us guys. That really stinks. But I mean, this is kind of like a rebuild, retool, but more of kind of a realistic side of things. So I'm only going to go through one season here. But yeah, man, if this were the season as well as the roster that Portland's looking at, I think if they went through this direction and everyone was healthy, if you have a starting lineup of CP3, Damian Lillard, either Wesley Matthews or Jeremy Grant, LaMarcus Aldridge and Hassan Whiteside, man, you better watch out. They would be a top 3 seed. But let's see what happens in the playoffs. They're going to go against the what team are they against? The Minnesota Timberwolves. So I mean, it is what it is. Let's adjust these lineups here real quickly before we jump into the series. We'll go 10 deep when it comes to it. Give Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Wesley Matthews. All right, let's see what happens here. We should win the series probably in 5 to 6 games, if anything, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. If not, then you know how that 2K cheese kind of works around here. So we're down. Wow. So game 6 back into Minnesota. Hopefully there's no other injuries, but let's kind of see what happens within here. If we can force a game 7 or Minnesota takes over, which is the case, losing the first round. Hey, but overall, I mean, I'm looking at this not in a 2K way. Wanted to show a simulation visually to you guys. But I think really and realistically, man, this could be a gem if they were to get CP3, move Damian Lillard to the 2. If they don't go that direction, again, guys, they can just go with they can go with Damian Lillard at the point guard with CJ McCollum, bring in LaMarcus Aldridge at the 4, and then maybe like a Trevor Ariza at the 3, and then probably keep Hassan Whiteside or maybe even trade for Rudy Gobert. I don't see how they can get Gobert, but the Blazers are in a pickle right now. When it comes to Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum, not enough cap space really to really work around the edges if they want a true superstar. That's how I kind of see it. But overall, I think they should go for LaMarcus Aldridge. If you can bring in CP3, that enlightens as well as heightens the possibility of contending for a championship. But hey, it is what it is. We're going to stop here. And hey, you can always let me know down below what you guys think the Blazers should do to retool. But this is how I see it through these 2 scenarios.